Yesterday was a beautiful weather day in the northeastern part of the country. Today, expected to be as well. Perfect time to take in the foliage, go for a drive, and visit the new Parks Casino in Shippensburg. If you live in western Maryland, northern Virginia, south central PA, West Virginia, towns like Hagerstown, Maryland, Winchester, Virginia, Martinsburg, West Virginia, Chambersburg, PA, Carlisle, PA, and many, many more, it's the perfect time of year to visit Pennsylvania's newest casino, now open in Shippensburg. What are you going to find when you get there? How about 500 state-of-the-art slot machines, 48 live dealer electronic table games featuring blackjack, roulette, and more. You can bet sports on the kiosks that are located throughout the casino, then stay and watch all the action. Maybe have dinner, a cocktail at the Liberty Bar and Grill. That's an upscale, family-friendly restaurant and sports bar featuring prime rib night, handcrafted cocktails, I'm thirsty now, craft beers, and all your favorite comfort foods. Get in on the action. The all-new Parks Casino in Shippensburg, located right off Interstate 81. Visit parkscasino.com. Got to be 21 for the casino gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Time now for additional headlines from the Tuesday edition of the newsletter. A lot of Libertarian chat on today's program, for not the least of which reason is the appearance today of the chair of the party. But here's another angle on Libertarian politics. The QAnon Shaman. You remember the QAnon Shaman? The QAnon Shaman is Jacob Chansley. He filed paperwork to run as a Libertarian in Arizona's 8th Congressional District for the 2024 cycle, seeking to fill the seat that'll be left vacant by Representative Debbie Lasko. Now you're wondering, okay, what's his legal status? In November of 2021, a judge sentenced the infamous rioter to 41 months in federal prison for his role in the January 6 attack. He pled guilty to obstructing an official proceeding, which is a felony charge. He moved to a halfway house in March and then was released in May. While in prison, the 36-year-old, talked about his motivations for what he was doing that day. So, pleading guilty to a felony. Can he run for Congress? The answer is that he can. The U.S. Constitution does not prevent a convicted felon from holding federal office. Arizona law only prohibits them from voting until the completion of their sentence and restoration of their civil rights. I wanted to go back and just refresh my memory as to, what goes on in other states. The Wall Street Journal visited this subject a month ago, and we've talked about it here. States have wide latitude to set rules for elections, and restrictions on voting by felons vary considerably. TC, nearly half the states ban felons from voting while they're incarcerated. Right. That makes sense to me.
I think that makes sense to me, and that's something that I feel like I knew.
Okay.
I think there's a but coming, or an and.
Just an additional.
Okay.
Another group of states also restricts voting for people on probation or parole. In 11 states, felons face high hurdles in obtaining restoration of their voting rights and can lose their access on the ballot indefinitely, according to the National Conference on State Legislatures. That I don't know. That I don't like. In keeping with my
Once
overall,
they've served their time, they need to be able to come back,
restore them,
and work and live and vote and do everything that they did.
That's
before.
what I think.
I know that is what you think.
What do you think?
Very consistent. I agree with that on the voting. I'm a little where I differ maybe is I have a problem with if you did something with kids, I think you can't be able to work with kids because that makes me nervous. What is the recidivism rate?
I'm okay
I have
with
issues with that.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
If you're a pedophile and you go away and you want to come back and work as a school teacher, that's an issue.
Right.
Yes, there are footnotes, exceptions to what I'm. So there's
should a pedophile be able to vote once they've served their time?
Would I restore a pedophile's voting rights? I would.
Murder.
That's what I wanted to get to. So let me tell you one more thing.
Okay.
So Vesla May Weaver is a professor of political science and sociology at Johns Hopkins. I'm quoting from the Wall Street Journal from a month ago. The country is a patchwork of incredibly confusing state laws that are changing constantly. So this is a matter left to the states. As I said a moment ago, the Constitution does not prevent convicted felons from holding federal office. So it really becomes a state issue. And here's what gets back to TC's point. Mississippi is home to perhaps the most visible current legal battle. So this is going on right now in Mississippi. The state has long imposed lifetime disenfranchisement for people convicted of certain crimes, lifetime, rape, murder, forgery, embezzlement, bigamy. What's bigamy doing in there? I don't know.
Well, that's interesting. Is the idea that these are things that are so anti the law? I mean, by definition, everything is, but that is fascinating.
I think it's in the category in the view of Mississippi that but if you did that, we're never letting you vote again.
That's very sneaky.
One case challenging Mississippi's ban as a violation. I smell poll question here,
oh boy.
By the way. One case challenging Mississippi's ban as a violation of the 14th Amendment guarantee of equal protection recently failed, though two Supreme Court Justices, Ketanji Brown Jackson and Sonia Sotomayor, dissented. When the court declined to review the case, the justices said that the state first adopted disenfranchisement rules in 1890 for the purpose of discriminating against blacks. So there you go. The QAnon Shaman has paid his debt to society. He can run for Congress in Arizona, and I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'm sure some people would say, hey, he engaged in insurrection.
Right.
He's not a guy who ought to be able to then serve in the Congress.
Right.
But, then voters will have their say.
Right. I mean, but it's interesting because it's sort of parallel to what we've been talking about with President Trump.
Right.
So, yeah, fascinating.
You and I have already addressed, but it's worth mentioning again. Chris Coons was on a train from Washington, D.C. back to Delaware. Or was he Delaware to D.C.? He had his tie on. It seemed to me he was probably headed home, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. He was either going or coming to Washington on the Amtrak system, which the two of us are well acquainted with.
Yes.
And a described far-left blogger.
Yeah, I'd never even heard of that outlet.
Neither had he.
Right.
But well, how would you describe it?
I would say that he came up and it looked like he was sitting across from him and filming him. So he was filming Chris Coons and
just gets in his face.
Yeah, and asking him about Israel and the children and how could you not call for a ceasefire? He wanted to know why he wasn't calling for a ceasefire. Right. That was the bottom line.
Right.
And it is worthy to be noted that Senator Coons was indeed in the quiet car, something you absolutely, exactly. Something
trick
that you like
I should
very
be safe
much.
here.
Right.
This is the quiet car.
Even if you're with a traveling companion, there are expectations. There are expectations in the quiet car. So they engage for about 2.5, 3 minutes.
I thought that Chris Coons, and we know and like Chris Coons, Senator Coons, civil.
Yes.
Appropriate.
Yes.
I would not have been able to maintain such a sense of measure.
He was steady, but he was also like, okay, enough is enough at some point.
At a certain point, I'm going to have to ask you, to move.
I have that audio. You want to hear that part of it?
Just a snippet, yeah.
Okay, so this is, and it's interesting too because I kept looking, I wanted to see what the other guy looked like, and there's no, he doesn't.
Well, I wanted to see where were one of the attendants.
He kept looking. He
I know.
He seemed to talk to someone at some point.
You know what? I got to say, it just is a reminder to me. There are only 100 United States senators.
Yeah.
I think somebody needs to be traveling with a United States senator. I really do.
2 minutes in. Nope. And okay, so hang on. Let me pull it back up again. So 2 minutes in, he's already, and by the way, he engages him for a while. And then he's like, I've given you enough of my time. I'm going to pull this up and we're going to be able to play it. But
okay, I'll read while you prepare.
It's going to be 12 seconds. I'll have it for you.
Senator Coons argued with far-left blogger Aaron Matei of the Gray Zone, an online outlet sympathetic to the Russian, Chinese, and Syrian governments on Monday, eventually warning that he would have him, quote, thrown off the train.
Do you think the campaign is targeting against Hamas when civilians are being massacred, when babies and incubators are dying because the fuel is being cut off?
I'm going to have you thrown off this train. Please stop doing this.
I have to ask these questions.
10 times.
I know, and
you're getting as professional, measured, and appropriate an answer out of me as you can. This is not professional journalism. Please get up and leave now.
I don't think it's humane to be massacring kids. That's the problem here. I realize I'm not being professional.
I don't think it's humane to be massacring kids either.
Okay, then why are we supporting it?
When Hamas massacred 1,400 Israeli civilians, the whole world should unite in opposition to terrorism.
Hear the train?
First of all, the number is 1,200. It wasn't entirely civilians, but regardless,
how many civilians were massacred by Hamas?
It's important to be precise.
It is important to be precise.
But yes,
it goes on. But I kudos to Chris Coons. That's what I said.
Chris, you're a better man than I.
Oh boy, better man than many. Better man than many. But we knew that about him.
Yeah.
You know, he is an ordained minister, is he not? Like, he's a real.
You know what he is? He did study theology at Yale. Now that you mention it.
Yeah. He's got. He was good. He kept his own, but I think he got. I did think he left eventually.
More headlines from the Tuesday edition of the newsletter. By the way, for newsletter subscribers today, the Tuesday treat, a Jack Oman cartoon, which is fabulous, on Senator Tuberville. You're going to love looking at that. Poll results from yesterday, 22,865 votes were cast. Which side benefits if the Trump federal subversion trial is televised? You had the right answer, 54.77% of you, when you said the prosecutors. That is the correct reply. Don't buy into the prosecution saying we don't want cameras and Trump saying we do want cameras because we need to show the American people what's going on. It would not, in my opinion, it would not be in his best interest if cameras were in the federal subversion trial scheduled to begin next March in front of Judge Chutkan. Despite what Trump is saying through his lawyers, I think he knows that in federal court, they play by a different set of rules. There's more decorum. It'll be less of a side or circus atmosphere and much more based on the evidence and the witness testimony. And I know that the television outlets and the cable stations, just fast forward, it's next March. He's zeroing in on clinching the Republican nomination. There'd be wall-to-wall coverage, and it would be very hard, I think, for him to offset that by his out-of-court statements. So we'll keep our eye on it. I think it's a bluff that he is saying, I want the cameras in that courtroom. He might want the cameras in, like, the Stormy Daniels courtroom, but not this one. Today's poll question, are you open to the idea of voting for a Libertarian candidate for local, state, or national office? Again, as I've been saying, I'm not asking, would you vote for a Libertarian for president? I'm simply saying, are you open conceptually to the idea of voting for a Libertarian? I certainly am, depending on who that person is. But am I open? Would I foreclose just as a matter of definition, like, I will never vote for a Libertarian? No, I would never say that. The party was formed in 1971. They support laissez-faire capitalism and civil liberties. They're the third largest American party by voter registration. The website says Libertarians strongly oppose any government interference into their personal, family, and business decisions. Could it really happen, TC, that Aaron Rodgers, after tearing his Achilles, could come back and play next month?
No. I'm going to say no. And the reason I'm going to say no is that I think it's wishful thinking. And he did say, like, he was on the sideline and said he, quote, just wasn't feeling it. This was,
But he's throwing passes already.
Right. That's with your arm.
Okay. Well, he's been working with weight limited on a weight limited treadmill.
That's cool.
Jogging 50% of his body weight. His goal this week is to increase to 75%.
That's fine. But when you're on the field, you got to be 100.
Right. I don't even know what that means, but it just sounds like he's headed in the right direction.
Oh, it's so cool. Those the machines that, like, take off part of your body weight, so it, like, lifts you up a little bit. So that imagine
what.
Okay, so if you're running, part of what's hard about running, especially if you're trying to, say, lose weight or something like that, is that you're heavy. So you're, like, pounding along. So imagine if you can alleviate that but still get some of the benefits and then work towards that. It's so cool.
Am I going to regret working out on Peloton 3 or 4 days a week when I'm 80 and my joints are all brittle?
What are you talking about? Why? What are you talking about?
I don't know. I mean, like, I would think that running would catch up with you when you're older if, God willing, you live a long life.
Okay.
I just think that you're going to wear down.
Okay, Trump.
But Peloton, on the bike.
Best if you don't have anything to do. No, I think move it or lose it.
I'm moving it. I'm not getting anywhere, but I'm at least holding my weight somewhat steady and constant, and that's my sole objective.
Maybe you're asking a different question.
I'm not even in this for the cardio stuff. It's all vanity. I don't want to get heavy.
If the question is, should you be mixing it up, and should you also be doing a little running, maybe a little erging, maybe a little, something else? The answer is yes. You should definitely mix it up. You shouldn't do the same thing. Only because your body gets complacent. Your body gets used to it.
Right.
So for sure you should.
All right.
By the way, someone that I talked to recently said that he thought that you looked really slim on the air.
What? Who was that?
I just thought I'd repeat that for you.
Who said that?
I'm just saying. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It looks like he's in really good shape. I was like, Yes.
You know what? I'm in pretty decent shape.
Yeah, you
I
are.
am. Yeah.
There you go.
The Crown. I love The Crown. I love The Crown. And we are now, well, this is good news, bad news. The good news is we're finally up to, if you watch The Crown, the era of Diana. But that's also the bad news because it means like we're getting ready to finish. No, that's not what I mean.
Oh.
I mean, they're going to finish the story.
Yeah.
We'll be all caught up. I have loved it.
All we can do is watch BBC then.
I have loved it. I think I'm 87%, almost the same as our open rate. I'm 87% confident in what I'm telling you, which is that on Thursday, when episode 1 drops, that it'll be the first part. It'll be multiple episodes. I don't know how many there are. And then December 14, they drop everything else.
And that's it.
And that's it.
That's all she wrote.
And that's it.
Yeah, and then we're up to 2023.
It's great timing. I need
By the way, today,
a new TV show.
Happy birthday to the King of England, 75 years old
75.
today. Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, and guess who's not there?
Oh, boy.
She wouldn't let him go.
Families are complicated. You do not know
Families are complicated.
That is.
She wouldn't let him go.
That, you have no idea.
And shame on him that he didn't go anyway.
You have no idea.
It's his father's 75th birthday.
I agree with that, but you have no idea.
There was newsletter controversy today.
Yes, there was.
As we were making the sausage for the Tuesday edition of the Daily Newsletter. The controversy was beep, beep, or meep, meep.
It's
because
like the best thing I've ever
when
seen.
I wrote the headline I wrote was beep, beep. But
Mm-hmm.
Alice, exercising her editorial control, said it should be meep, meep.
She did some research. She said that,
Is that
it
true,
was
though?
a bit under contention.
Beep, beep.
Yeah. Meep, meep. Think about it.
Actually, the
And
way
it's
you
actually
say it is...
HM. It's like there is, if you Google whether it's beep, beep or meep, meep and say, what does the Roadrunner say?
What does it say?
It says both. It's hysterical.
Oh.
But I think it's more meep, meep.
So Warner Brothers Discovery, which somewhere way the hell up in the food chain is one of my employers, has reversed its decision to bury Coyote versus Acme. The studio will now allow director David Green to shop his live-action animation hybrid movie to other potential buyers. Instead, what's the alternative? Of them shelving it as a tax write-off, which would have been the third or fourth time that they've done it. I guess the third time. Batgirl, yeah, there was a big controversy about that. They just decided after they made the movie, no, we're not going to release it. And Scoob, Holiday Haunt.
Boy.
So apparently, as a tax measure, they had shelved those, but this one will probably see the light of day. I have a question about Travis and Taylor.
Oh.
We have a story today posted at Smerconish.com as to, in the Eras tour, she's changed a lyric. Karma is the guy on the Chiefs. I don't even know what song that is.
She just changed it because he was there. So he flew down. It had been a song about her then boyfriend, Joe, whatever his last name was, who was a movie star. And the line had said something like, karma is the guy on the screen who comes home to me. And she changed it to karma is the guy on the Chiefs who comes home to me. And he was coming straight home to me. And this, Travis Kelce was standing next to Taylor Swift's father when this lyric came, and Taylor Swift's father like, "What?" And everyone went nuts.
So here's my question:
What's that?
Does he know the catalog?
He seems pretty good. I mean, he's the one that started this. He was the fan. He wanted the bracelets. Yeah, he went to the show and went online and said something like, I have a friendship. They trade friendship bracelets. It's a big thing at Taylor Swift concerts.
Okay,
and they bead them like the old.
I really
school.
don't know, but all right.
Okay, it's a big thing. If you look at Travis Kelce's wrist at that Argentinian concert, he has like 7 on his wrist. Yeah. So, and he said online, all I want to do is give her one. Like, what's wrong with and that's what started this whole thing.
Really?
So I think he's a Swiftie. He's a fan.
Oh.
I don't know if he knows her whole.
Okay, because I was thinking maybe they got put together somehow, and now the guy's like, "Oh my God, I got to learn all these songs."
No. It started with him. It's the best. And how many times have I watched the video of her running across the stage and jumping into his arms? More than I would care to admit.
There are many more offerings in today's newsletter, including John Lennon worrying about how people would remember him, concerned about his legacy. And who is our source for this? Paul McCartney. Really fascinating stuff. Homeschooling is now the fastest growing form of education in the United States. We have that as well. There aren't a lot, but proportionately it's growing as a mode of education faster than anything else. There are currently an estimated 1.9 million to 2.7 million homeschooled students in the U.S., according to the Washington Post. So there's that, and there's also a very interesting story about a CVS in Washington where now even the toilet paper. I'm used to it, like as a guy getting my quadruple track Gillette razors.
The razors have always been like that.
Sometimes you can't get access.
Right.
But toilet paper?
All paper products.
A toilet paper? I
know.
mean, you know what it really says?
That's sad.
What it really says to me is how brazen, and we did a retail theft segment here recently. It's no longer like something you just have to be able to slip into your pocket. No, it's now like we have to even hide the toilet paper. All right, go vote on today's poll question at Smerconish.com. By the way, gang, can I say one last quick thing? Notice this. In the newsletter every day, of course, you see the poll question. I've now taken to delivering a 5 or so minute commentary about that day's poll question, and we put it right in the newsletter next to the question itself. So give me a click and listen to that and follow it if you like it. Okay, thank you. See ya.